Hey guys, God bless you. Welcome back to my channel. Hello if you're new. My name is Jasmine for you guys that don't know me. And today's video is going to be a little different. So today's video I'm going to be doing a story time. But this story time is a story time of when I had Lyme disease. A lot of you guys might not know what Lyme disease is. I didn't know what it was when I got it, or before I got it I had no idea what it was. But I thought I would just record this video to just let you guys know my experience with it and what I went through, because it was very scary. I guess before I start, I'll just let you guys know basically what Lyme disease is. Lyme disease is a tick-borne illness caused by the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But it says, deer ticks can carry the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. It is common, more than 200,000 US cases per year, and it spreads by animal or insect bites or stings. This happened a few years ago. It was my junior year of high school. I was about 16. Yeah, I was 16 years old, 16 or 17. And basically what happened was, I believe that I got it because I don't know if you guys know about Brownstone. If you're from Connecticut, you probably know about it, but it's like this lake and there's like these inflatable like slides and bouncy things and all that. It's a really fun place, but there's like the zip line area where you have to go up this like kind of hill, but it's like a lot of trees and like dirt, and obviously you're barefoot. So I believe that I got bitten by a tick when I was going up there. Anyways, that was probably like 2 weeks before I started feeling symptoms. Now the first symptom that I felt was I was in school, and I remember when I would walk up the stairs in my school, my legs, like all the way from my thighs all the way down to my legs, were so extremely sore. When you do like a really intense leg workout, and afterwards, like the day to 2 days after, your legs are just so sore, that's how my legs felt. And I wasn't doing any type of exercise at that time, especially not leg workouts, so there was no reason why my legs would feel that way. But anyways, then I want to say that same day or the next day, I was in gym class and I looked at my legs and I noticed everything on my body, and I'm just very observant, which everyone should be that way because you know your body best and you know what kind of changes can happen to it. Anyways, I remember seeing like this little black and blue on the side of my knee. I didn't really think anything of it. But once I started thinking about the fact that my legs were sore, I said, you know what, let me mention it to my mom and let her know, because this is just weird and I just didn't feel right. So I remember that day I told her, I said, Mom, I have like a black and blue, my legs don't really feel too great. And she was just like, okay, just keep an eye on it. If you start feeling worse, or if the pain doesn't go away, then we'll bring you to the doctors. I was like, okay, cool. I remember after that, the pain in my legs did not go away. They were still extremely sore, especially when I would go up the steps. And I remember it was just to the point that I had to like go up the stairs very slowly because of how much it hurt. So, that just continued for maybe 2 to 3 days. And then I started to get very worried because I started developing a rash on my body. Now, before the rash started, I felt weak. When I say weak, I mean like physically weak. So I didn't feel like tired. I just felt like my body was weak. When I would try to walk and stand up and do stuff, I just felt like I had no energy. And I remember at the time, my boyfriend started to get worried as well, because he noticed that my energy was just off. I wasn't really acting myself, so he mentioned it to his mom. And I had also mentioned to his mom and also my mom at this point that I had noticed a rash. And at this point, the rash wasn't really that noticeable, but it was basically like circles about this big, and they were all over my legs and on my arms. And I remember telling my mom, and I was like, Mom, this is not right. So she had scheduled me a doctor's appointment, but obviously I had to wait for the appointment. And then I mentioned it to my boyfriend's mom. So she came with me to a separate room, and she checked like my back and my stomach to see if I had any other rash developing, but it was mainly just on my legs and right here on my arms. And when I tell you guys, this rash, it wasn't itchy, it wasn't bumps, it was just flat, but they were big red circles. And it was weird because they were hot to the touch. So those circles were hot. And when I would sleep at night and I would put the blanket over my legs and I would wake up the next morning, the rash was so noticeable. Like, it was super red. For whatever reason, at night it would flare up the most. So at this point, I started to get worried because I didn't know what it was, you know, and it was just really weird. So my mom brings me to the doctors and they ended up doing a blood test. Now, when they did this blood test, they were checking for multiple different things, and one of them was Lyme disease. I remember my mom saying, I really hope it's not Lyme disease, because my mom does work in the medical field, so she is familiar with what Lyme disease is. And she said, I really hope it's not Lyme disease. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I hope so too. And I didn't really know what it was. I didn't ask her what it was. She didn't want to tell me because she didn't want me to worry. But anyways, so she's like, I hope it's not that. And the results get back in from the doctor, and Lyme disease came out clear. Nothing. There was no Lyme disease. There was nothing. Everything in my blood was perfectly healthy, perfectly fine. So they were kind of confused. They were like, okay, well, I don't understand why there's nothing coming up, because obviously this is not normal. The way you're feeling is not normal. And they said, well, you know what, we're going to send you to a specialist because maybe it could be arthritis. And the reason why they suspected that it could be arthritis was because of the pain and the soreness that I felt in my legs. They thought it could be something like with my muscles or with my bones or whatever, my joints. So they had scheduled that appointment. Anyway, so they just wanted to have me go to a specialist. Now, after that appointment, I remember the pain had gotten so bad that I could not stand for a long period of time. I remember waking up one day to go to school, and my legs were so, like, it was so painful that I felt like tightness running all the way from my feet all the way up my legs, and it was to the point that I could not stand up because of how much pain I was in. So my mom was like, wow, you know, you cannot go to school like this. You can't even stand up. So I ended up staying home, and at that time I was working a part-time job. So I was out of school and I was out of work for about a week and a half because of this. So it was just very, very concerning. It was to the point that when we went to Walmart to go grab some things for me and medicine or whatever, just like to feel better, like pain medicine, I had to like literally drive in that little cart thingy because of how bad it was. I was losing weight. I looked physically sick because of this. And I remember one night, I will never forget it. I was sleeping and I was also experiencing fevers and like night sweats and night when you get really cold when you have a fever. Like, I was experiencing all of that. Flu-like symptoms is what you experience when you get Lyme disease. It was nighttime and I woke up out of my sleep and I felt like I was going to pass out. Literally, I felt like I was going to pass out. So I said, you know what, I need to wake my mom up because I was scared. And my room was right here, then my parents' room was right here, so it was not a long walk at all. Maybe just like 10 steps. So I wake up from the bed and I start walking into my mom's room, and I had to literally hold on to the wall because if not I was going to pass out and like fall on the floor. So I get up and I start walking to my parents' room, and I was able to open the door. I was like, Mom, and she's a very light sleeper, so she woke up immediately. I said, I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and she quickly got up from bed along with my dad, and I turned around. She's like, go to bed, go to bed. So I turned around and I went into my bed, and I literally just threw myself on my bed and I started crying hysterically because I was just so frustrated with the way that I was feeling. I was frustrated that there was no answers as to why I was feeling this way, and I just, like, that was it. When I felt like I was gonna pass out, like everything got black. I felt like the room was spinning and I was just crying. So my mom, she ended up calling the doctor again, and she's like, hey, you know, like, my daughter's not doing well. Like, do I bring her to the hospital? What do I do? And they said, give her a few minutes. If she feels a little better and can get back to bed, just go to the hospital the next day, because honestly, you know how the hospital is. You're gonna wait for hours, and I'd rather be in the comfort of my home than sitting down in a waiting room for hours. So she's like, okay. So she was able to watch me so I could go back to sleep. And then the next day I woke up. She's like, how are you feeling? And I felt a lot better that day. So she said, you know what, we'll go to the hospital a little later. So I was like, okay. And then she ended up bringing me to the hospital, and they ended up taking more blood, and if I remember correctly, they took about 9 tubes of blood, which was a lot. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was horrible. If I can get, I think I have a photo of my mom took a photo of me when I was in the hospital. I don't think I have any photos of like the rash itself. Anyway, so we go to the hospital, they take about 9 tubes of blood, and they were just waiting for the results again. Now we go home, whatever, and I remember I was home and I was alone at home, and I was so emotional. I don't know if it was because of the fevers or what, but when I tell you that I was crying for anything, like I was watching TV and I would cry like if there was a sad scene. I always do that, but like it was like next level. And then I remember my mom called me. She was at work. She's like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm okay. And then when we hung up, I cried. And then Chris, my boyfriend at the time, my husband now, he ended up calling me when he was at school. He's like, how are you, baby? And I was like, I'm okay. And then we hung up on the phone and I started crying. I was just so emotional, but I think it was because of the fevers. And then finally, the results get back, and it ended up being Lyme disease. Now, the reason why the Lyme disease the first time was negative was because it was so early. I thank God that I was able to realize these things and the symptoms and the way that I was feeling so early, because since we caught it so early on, it didn't affect me the way that it affects other people. And I thank God for that every single day, because I remember telling my pastor like afterwards that I had the Lyme disease, and he was like, you had Lyme disease? And I was like, yeah. And he was like telling me that he knows someone that had gotten Lyme disease and was literally in a coma for weeks because of it. Lyme disease takes people's lives. Lyme disease can be fatal if it's not caught on time. If people don't realize it, if they don't have symptoms, it can literally kill them. So I thank God every single day that I was able to catch it on time, and I was able to realize that I had it, and you know, the doctors were able to detect it through my blood, because if not, I don't know what would have happened. And when I tell you that I really thought that I was gonna die, I don't say that lightly, and I don't exaggerate when I say that. It was affecting me so much, and I'm not a big person. At that time, I ended up losing so much weight. I was like so scrawny, and honestly, I really think that it almost killed me. It was so scary, and it was just the scariest part was that nobody knew what it was. But anyways, when they were able to diagnose me with it, I took antibiotics, and I believe I had like a follow-up afterwards. The rash had gone away and everything, and it was good because I was able to get better. But it was a very scary experience. I actually had a experience a few months ago, last year, like probably around the summertime, that I was experiencing a similar rash on my legs again, and I was so scared. I was like, please Lord, do not let me have Lyme disease again. And they tested me and I didn't have it. It was just this other rash thing that it was dumb. Thank God I didn't get it again. But basically, if you guys are interested in learning more about Lyme disease, you guys should look it up. I'd say be careful. If you ever think that you get bit by a tick, I'd say be safe than sorry and go to the doctors, because it's no joke. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and comment. We are 5 away from 600 subscribers, which is awesome. If you guys enjoyed this video, God bless you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.